In the year 2000, only 2% of our gas supplies were imported. By the time we get to 2018, according to the National Grid, 70% of our gas supplies are going to be imported. That's not a problem if you can lay your hands on those supplies, but it makes us more subject to the kind of disruptions that some of the continental countries have seen if you're importing gas from other countries. So we needed and should have kept pace in terms of gas storage and long-term contracts more in the past. Renewables. I mean, renewables has been, I know, a theme of today. And again, if you just think of Britain and think of our coastline, think of how windy we are, think of the potential we have for marine energy, it is almost astonishing that we are, in the whole of Europe, ahead of just Malta and Luxembourg in terms of the proportion of our energy that comes from renewables. We should be way out in front. And over the last 10 years, countries like Romania, for example, increased from 9 to 19% their share of energy from renewables. Not just these Eastern European countries. Denmark went from 8 to 17%. During that decade, we went from 1% to 1.3%. So in terms of the industrial opportunities, there are first mover advantages here that we have been slow to take, and we now need to catch up. CCS is another example where I think we have the potential to lead, and we now need to play catch up. But nevertheless, that's where we are. But it does have consequences for the decisions that we need to take now. For example, I'm afraid it's going to cost more to make these investments in what will be something of a rush if we are to have enough generating capacity, for example, to keep the lights on by 2017, than if we had brought this capacity on in a planned, steady way. We all know whatever job you do, you pay more if you've got a deadline that you've got to rush towards. The supply chain constraints become evident, especially with offshore wind. We know that the supply chain is a real challenge, whether we can get, for example, the vessels available to physically deploy the turbines that we need offshore. Even to manufacture new vessels is a challenge during that time. And there is often a source of advantage in being ahead of the game on this. One of the reasons that Denmark has established such a presence in renewables, especially wind, is that it got there earlier, same with Germany for that matter. And my background, I advised companies on their corporate strategy, and the experience curve was well known to everyone, that the sooner you get on with something, the more you learn, the more costs come down, you can establish a position of leadership there. So we haven't done that, and we need to catch up. But it's not too late. I think now we need to really motivate all of the, certainly policy resources, with my particular hat on, but of course the investment resources and the regional resources that are necessary to take advantage of this opportunity. And I also think that there's an industrial policy opportunity here. Now, it's been unfashionable, I suppose, especially for Conservatives, to talk about industrial policy in the years, which has always struck me as slightly bizarre, as if, trying to think ahead how you might want to earn your living in future years was somehow a taboo thing to do. I mean, we would, I think, encourage all our children to think about how they want to earn their living, what qualifications and things they need. So the idea that we don't think seriously about this as a country and as an economy, I think, is for the birds. And if you look at this, then I think you can see that in terms of the sources of job creation, for example, over the last 10 years, I think there have been only two sectors that have been net creators of employment over the last 10 years, the public sector and the financial services sector. Now, that's not to say that I would take any delight in predicting that actually they may not be expanding at the rate that they have done in the past, and it's very important that people that work in financial services, Northern Rock in this region, and people employed in the public sector, that they perform efficiently and we recognise the important contribution they make. But in terms of future contributions, it seems clear to me that the new energy economy is something where, if we think about it carefully and make sure we've got the right conditions in place, then this could be a very particular source of growth. And the reason for this is not just because there's going to be a demand for it, and it was alluded to in the previous remarks. If you think about the strengths and the capabilities of this region, they, as it happens, are ideally suited to this area. Our process industries in this region have been, are and can be in the future world-beating. Marine engineering, the continuing legacy of the success of the North Sea operations that we've had, our universities and research institutions, the interconnectedness. Reference was made to the Wilton site, the former ICI site in Wilton, where you've got an integrated campus, as it were, close to port facilities in which you've got grid connections, you've got interactions between different process industries that actually would be almost impossible to create in other areas of the world that didn't have the heritage that has resulted in that. And we have, again, as was mentioned, in the North Sea, almost literally a sea of energy, shallow waters, surrounded by some of the most important energy markets in the whole world within easy reach of us. We've got depleted gas wells that turn out, along with saline aquifers, to be ideal for storing captured CO2. A lot of the industries we have are on the northeast coast here, on that North Sea coast. So we couldn't be better advantaged. So I think it's crucial that we have an explicit objective of policy, of industrial policy, that the low-carbon economy is something where Britain intends to compete and to win, and the North East has to be at the centre of that.